Hi folks, it's Brent Bozell and welcome to the Brent Bozell podcast. So last night, they reported that there was a winner and a loser. In fact, there was a winner and there were two losers. Winner, Donald Trump, loser, Kamala Harris, and the National Press Corps. Folks, nothing like this has ever happened. And I'm not talking about the way that Donald Trump won, which was extraordinary. No. We saw in this election cycle the single most rabid, vicious, underhanded, personal assault by the national so-called news media on a candidate, I think in the history of the Republic. Nancy Pelosi made the statement during the campaign that they must never allow Donald Trump to enter the White House again. And that was exactly the belief system of the national news media. Every single day, they savaged him, and they savaged him personally. And it just didn't matter what the circumstances were. At the end of the election, we looked at the numbers, and the numbers were startling. 85% negative coverage of Donald Trump, 78% positive coverage of Kamala Harris. Now, why is that noteworthy? Well, let's go with the 85% negative coverage. This happened after Donald Trump came within a millimeter of having his head blown off. Still negative coverage. A second assassination attempt, still negative coverage. There was such a great way to juxtapose his record with Kamala Harris's. Let's move over to her for just a second. With her positive coverage, 78%. Look at the track record of the Biden-Harris campaign. If you looked at inflation, if you were looking at the prices of groceries, if you were looking at gasoline prices, your energy prices at home, the border being overrun, transgenderism overtaking schools. America's been a mess these last 4 years, and yet the media gave her positive coverage. Going back to Donald Trump, they could have just told the truth and juxtaposed his record with her record. But if they'd done that, they'd been forced to give positive coverage to Donald Trump. They would have had to report that America had become energy independent under him, that the taxes were at an all-time low, that the economy was booming, that the world was silent foreign policy-wise without any problems taking place. There were so many positives under Donald Trump. They would have reported that. Okay, 85% negative Trump, 78% positive with Kamala Harris. What happened? This time, the public didn't put up with this. This time, America's leaders didn't put up with this. This time, Donald Trump has always fought the media, and he continued fighting the media. So too did Don Jr., so too did Eric, so too did the rest of the Trump inner circle. But it wasn't just them. This time, you had conservatives in the House and conservatives in the Senate, most noteworthy being Speaker Mike Johnson in the House and stalwarts like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee in the Senate. This time, they didn't put up with it. This time, they went on the attack. This time, the podcasters went after the media. It was the Joe Rogan giants. It was the Charlie Kirks. It was the Ben Shapiros and so many others. This time, they didn't put up with the national news media. It was the talk radio giants. It was Mark Levin. It was Chris Plant. It was Larry O'Connor. It was so many others who did such a great job. This time, it was not just Fox. It was Fox Business. It was Newsmax 24/7. All of them went after the news media. And finally, the big one, the big cheese, Elon Musk, the most influential man on planet Earth, a man who's got over 200 million followers. This time, he said, I'm not putting up with the national media. And he went on the offensive against them. And so what happened? When the dust settled, the numbers are there for anyone to see. Gallup took a poll at the start of the campaign and found that Trump had a 41% unfavorable rating and a 55% favorable rating. That's a net negative of 14%. At the end of the campaign, last month, the same organization took a poll. Trump's favorable rating was 44%. His unfavorable rating was 54%. That's a negative 10. Trump's numbers actually went up after everything the left tried to do in this campaign. All the 91 counts that they had against him, all the convictions, everything they threw against him, it backfired. The left's attacks backfired. The other statistic that I think is very noteworthy, same organization, Gallup, measures on a regular basis every year, they measure the favorable, unfavorable of the national news media. And this year they found that the favorable rating of the national news media was down to 31%, the lowest in recorded history. The YouGov polling operation that looks at intensity, asking the question with the quote, "I really like the news media," found only 7% subscribe to that. Bottom line, the left-wing radical news media's attack on Donald Trump backfired in 2024. They won't change their ways. They'll continue. I urge our movement in our country and our leaders just to continue doing what they did this year and put an end to these people who have made a disgrace